To my Mormon friends, my Latter-day Saint friends, think of him as Captain Moroni. He seeks not power but to pull it down. He seeks not the praise of the world or the fake news, but he seeks the well-being and the peace of the American people.
Travis winged it, so while going over the news, MSNBC is reporting that Senator Mike Lee is leading another coup denial push in Congress, in the Senate. Apparently there was a guy on January 6th who had a vape machine and was part of the insurrection on that day and had been caught and was sentenced to 4 years. But now Lee, Mormon from Utah, in case you've forgotten, is wanting to question the FBI director about this, because supposedly he was an undercover FBI agent and flashed a badge, not a vaping thing. And it was already known. All he had to do was go to the file footage. And we had a whole series of hearings by the House on this. And people have been locked up for it. And certain people are getting away with it, such as Senator Mike Lee. And this is the danger. When you don't hold people accountable, they get worse. The 14th Amendment, which is under full attack lately, not just Section 1, but Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, which includes the Supreme Court, that violated Section 1 and thus committed an act of sedition. Or as a member of any state. And yeah, it includes the FBI and DOJ and Homeland Security. Anybody. They're officers too. They take an oath to the Constitution. Or any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state. So yes, the federal judges in the state of Utah, they too, with my lawsuit prior to January 6th, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection. or rebellion against the same. And so anybody who runs as a communist, a neo-Nazi, a Confederate, a KKK, Illuminati, Scottish Rites, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, all are designated as insurrectionist groups and are disqualified automatically from running for office. And anybody giving aid or comfort to them, which includes the press, by covering the news a certain way, like Fox News got busted earlier this year for lying about Dominion voting machines. It had to do with January 6th. You cannot lie as the press. You cannot lie as a religion. You cannot lie as a citizen. That automatically disqualifies you and your First Amendment so-called rights. You do not have the right to take away the rights of others, and lying takes away the rights of others because you are misinforming them and inciting them to insurrection in this particular case. So all of the press are guilty of inciting the public against Israel. Anna Kasparian today was on a rampage. She is the enemy. Sorry, Anna, I really liked you until I hear your anti-Semitic comments. But Senator Lee was a part of it, giving aid and comfort to the enemies. He was the enemy. We had learned from the hearings that Senator Lee had these text messages. And at first we were hearing about how he was in communication with Trump. And he denied it. And he lied. He was, even though he did pass the phone off to the other. But text messages also confirmed that Senator Lee was directly involved in wanting to find a way to decertify the election. And it doesn't matter if he didn't go through with it, he was involved with the planning of it. It doesn't matter if they didn't actually coup the government. They were engaged. It happened. It was planned, premeditated, and it was acted on. And so it doesn't matter if they failed, if they didn't actually go through with it, they planned it. But we do know it did happen. And they did stop, and the election was certified for Biden, but there was a coup attempt. And it's still going on because the Department of Justice and the FBI did not adhere to their oath to support the Constitution of the United States, 14th Amendment, Section 3, to remove every single government official involved. And that included a Supreme Court justice, at least one, because of his wife, Judge Thomas. Every single one of them have to be locked up because they tried to coup the government. And the FBI and the DOJ, by not doing their oath to the Constitution, allowed these government officers to remain on the job. And what did they do as a consequence of being left in? Oh, Roe v. Wade got overturned. I'm understanding voting rights are in jeopardy now again. And Senator Lee is back trying to deny January 6th. He wasn't even supposed to run in 2022. That other guy, that other Mormon, who Mormons don't believe is an actual Mormon, because he's an independent. He should have run unopposed, because nobody challenged Lee. It was just Lee versus the other guy, who purposely ran to oppose Lee. And I sent him an email saying, hey, Lee is disqualified. Call this out. He's rigging the election. Call this out. He did a photo op with the church at the DC temple. That's illegal. You can't do that. And so, again, I have to remind you of the history of Senator Mike Lee. He's the third great-grandson of John D. Lee of 9/11/1857 Mountain Meadows Massacre infamy. The murderer of women and children under the orders of Brigham Young. And I've done the videos. It had to do with Brigham Young's war against the United States, not wanting outsiders into his kingdom after the United States obtained the land when Mexico seceded the very next year. And so John D. Lee was also a Danite. Who couped Joseph Smith's church in 1838 under the orders of Brigham Young. And so I guess we will have to... This right here that I've been showing you, this is their coup plot of the United States of America and world governments. Lucifer has the keys of government, apparently. The keys of Melech. And his just name is Lucifer instead of Melech. Melech is king, government. Right here in the book. I can read it to you. I have the bookmark. See the bookmark? That was the church's threat to me, to be silent. I didn't get silent. Did the video showing you the bookmark, and people sent me comments. Oh, you don't know, Travis, you don't know. And then here I am. So the Council at the Valley of Adam-on-Diamond, page 290, under By Voice of the Priesthood, is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer. He has authority. What authority? For what? What keys does he have? These are an emblem of my powers and priesthoods. I never understood that. They don't explain it. Then now it's gone. Nelson took it out. To the rightful King, Jesus Christ, judgment will be set forth, and all who have held keys will make their reports and deliver their stewardships, as they shall be required. Adam will direct this judgment, and then he will make his report as the one holding the keys for this earth. So he's Geb, not Shu. Not Adam. Adam. Well, actually, yeah. You can see Adam God theory here. That just hit me. He actually stopped the practice of the belief in Adam God theory. Previously, there were the prophets supporting it. He, I think, was the first one to disavow that, and yet here it is. So let me go over it with you. 1851, Brigham Young comes out, orders everybody to practice polygamy openly in defiance of the United States of America that took over their land in 1848. And also threw in that Heavenly Father is Adam, and that he brought Eve, one of his wives, into the garden with him. And so also threw in that Adam was a polygamist to support his polygamy doctrine that he was pushing. And Orson Hyde was the big vocal opponent against that. And so the last year before Brigham Young died, Brigham Young changed the ranking position of Orson Hyde because of the 1838 coup back to when Joseph Smith put him back in. And so John Taylor became the successor to Brigham Young under Brigham Young's change of authority for succession, because that wasn't Joseph's, it was Brigham Young's. And then the year before he died, he realized, oh crap, it backfired on me. And so Brigham Young, of course, claimed that polygamy was by Joseph, and then Adam God was by Joseph also. Nobody believes the Adam God was by Joseph, but yet they believe the polygamy was. I guess there were more forged documents to prove Joseph was guilty than there were for the Adam God. And for blacks even. He blamed Joseph for that. But yeah, there's too many contradictions that there are not enough forged documents for Brigham Young to justify it. Only for polygamy. But regardless. And so, knowing that Joseph Smith was into Egyptian, this is where you need to go to figure out what the hell's going on. And so in the Egyptian documents, there is the key story of Egyptians, the Heliopolis creation glyph, in which Nut and Geb, daughter or sister and brother of Shu and Tefnut, who are Shu and Tefnut are in Genesis chapter 2, as Nut and Geb being separated by Shu is chapter 1. And so anybody who, if you've heard of the documentary hypothesis, or at least the claim that their section 1 or chapter 1 is a different source document than chapter 2, yeah, that's all crap. They're loser scum. Don't listen to them. It's all from the same Heliopolis creation glyph. This is the origin of the Genesis account. And so brother and sister love each other. And Geb is the earth, Nut is the heavens. And so Father Shu, who is the wind, i.e. spirit, God is spirit, that's what it's referring to, Shu. And Tefnut, the mother, is moisture. Moist. Dead like me. Awesome. She rocks. And so you see that. The moisture falls, takes clay, molds it into Adam, and then the breath of life into Adam, section 1 of the 14th Amendment. He is now born. He is now a naturalized, born citizen of the United States of America. Which, yes, it was in the United States, as the Danites claimed, at Adam on Diamond with the altar. Forged document, not Joseph. Section 116, forged document, not Joseph. Thus this forged document, not legitimate. And so yes, Lucifer has the keys of government. Our Lord will then assume the reins of government. Because that's where he got it from. Lucifer. And so brother and sister loved each other. Geb got her pregnant with the 5 deities, of whom was Cain and Abel. And we're done with this. And Atom, phonetically the same as Adam, but not Adam as the soil, earth, or earth. And he tells Shu, I see all, you need to separate your children. Gotta keep them separated. And so he does, and he separates them. I put the picture in the video yesterday for you. And, was it 2 days ago? And so, because they're separated, Nut is unable to give birth. She's pregnant with 5 kids. Oh no! How do they get born? Shu is separating them. And so then here comes David, Tawut, thought, phonetically the same, the 18th dynasty, pharaohs. He adds 5 days to the calendar of 360 days for the religious calendar, which is a lunar cycle, and turns it into the civil calendar. And so on those 5 days, the children are able to be born, each in a row. And so Abel was born first, then Cain, and so on. And then their sisters who were to be their wives. So why did the brother and sister need to be separated if that's the way it is? It's not literal history. It's prophecy, as I showed you in the picture in that video. And so, yeah, this is where Brigham Young is getting it from. He's claiming that Geb is Adam because of the Bible. That's why. And so, Father Adam. That's the Adam God theory. But no, that's not the case. Shu is our Heavenly Father, not Adam. Brigham Young did not understand Egyptian. Didn't care to anyway. Purposely lied about Joseph Smith to do that. Okay? So, and that's why Adam-on-Diamond is named as it is. It's spelled wrong. That's your first clue that it's a fraud. It was the secret headquarters of the Danites. And section 117 tells you Newell K. Whitney is a Danite. And it was a forged document by a Danite trying to claim that Newell K. Whitney was known to be a Danite by Joseph Smith and condemned for it, but he repented and followed Brigham Young and his Danites. And so in 1837, the Kirtland Safety Society got started. It was the bank. They had to do it on their own because they were disqualified to get an official bank. And that was common back in that day. The Wikipedia page on that actually tells the truth on this one. Which is a surprise for church history. And so, yeah, it was common for many cities that are starting up to have to run their own bank, not getting approval to do a state-approved bank. And so they kind of require you to be an established city before they approve you. That's why many had to do their own thing. So that's merely what Joseph Smith was doing. There's nothing illegal or criminal about it. And the Danites, who were still a sacred secret from Joseph Smith, had taken out loans from the bank and didn't pay them back. And so you have Heber C. Kimball, the counselor to the boss of the Danites, Brigham Young, who comes back and is offended with these Danites who didn't repay the loans. He's claiming distance in the public eye. And so the bank fails because of the loans not getting paid back. And Joseph Smith is accused of the crimes, 17 charges, and he is released. He is not convicted for any of those 17. And so he then goes on and does the Joseph Smith history, works on the Egyptian papyri, as the Danites then plan their next attack to remove Joseph Smith, get him locked up in jail fraudulently so that they can run the church. And this is where they gather at Adam-on-Diamond. There was an election that year in Daviess counties, thus election fraud. Say Senator Lee, like third great grandfather, like third great grandson. Senator Lee knows all about this. He's doing it in our day, what his third great grandfather was a part of in Joseph Smith's church. Unfortunately, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are the ones who ordered Senator Mike Lee to do this, as he is compromised to the church by being Mormon and paying tithing to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mormons are in government to do the will of the church, to bring to pass their self-fulfilling prophecies. Because there is no Jesus. They have to do it, and they blame Jesus, who told them to do crimes and murders and rapes and polygamy and sex trafficking, etc. And it was all Joseph. And so, yeah, they go down, march on the polling station in Daviess County, and they're getting verbally abusive and violent. Vote for our candidate, not for theirs. And the other people are panicked. Oh no, these people are not certified to vote in this election. This is not their district. They're attempting a coup. And Chris Stewart, his third great grandfather, was also a part of this. He now left, and today, it's election day for us today. But his third great grandfather is recorded as being the one who got punched first and knocked to the ground. And so, yes, if in case you're wondering, Stewart also is disqualified. But he chose to resign. A little late, though, but still. He still needs to be locked up for his crimes, for decertifying the election. And, it wasn't him, that he was vocal. He wanted to decertify it. And so then after that, the Mormon War started. And the Danites, with their group of at least 100, if not up to 1,000, that's the overwhelming militant force. Joseph Smith History, verse 1. Are you sure it's the right name of the church? They are the evil and disposed persons that Joseph talks about. Militant. And it was not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This was what they were doing to coup the church. It's to call it Christian, call the Book of Mormon, as they went out on missions to misinform converts. And they went to the judge's house and the sheriff's house. They had a person either claiming to be Joseph Smith, or they just outright forced them to sign an affidavit certifying that it was Joseph Smith who ordered them to blame Joseph. And so thus Joseph got locked up in Liberty Jail. The Joseph Smith Papers vindicates Joseph Smith. He was not a part of it. That's why I'm able to say what I said. He was in Far West. And it's a 2-day journey by horse. Joseph could not have gotten there in time, even if he left early that morning, because the Joseph Smith Papers has a document where he sells land to Emma Smith. Oops. That's why it's important to always keep documents when there are people trying to frame you. I know it's helped me to be here right now. And even though my life is utterly ruined, but I'm still standing, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. That could be the theme song in the description below. Because it has a dualism, because Senator Lee's still standing when he should be locked up for his crimes. Insurrection. And so, yeah, then the Danites went around to the church and forced the leaders of the church to join them or die, along with their family. David Whitmer left because of that threat. Thomas B. Marsh, president of the Quorum of 12 that Brigham and Heber were in. As the 70s, under the Missionary 12, were Danites, spreading the lies about the church and the church's name and the church's Christ. And so we get Oliver Cowdery telling us what he heard from David Whitmer that was threatened by the Danites in his pamphlet called Defense, in which David Whitmer was told by the Danites that Joseph Smith is the leader of the Danites and had ordered his execution if he did not join them or leave. And so Oliver Cowdery is shocked and horrified. You mean to say that Joseph Smith is the leader of the Danites because of Sidney Rigdon whispering to him to be such? Oliver Cowdery believes it, and he's horrified and shocked. And he changed the name of the church to use Jesus? No critic talks about that. They all focus on David Whitmer said there were no plates. They missed the part where Joseph Smith is the leader of the Danites, ordered assassinations, and changed the name of the church. And yet, there it is, in the Joseph Smith history, in the Joseph Smith papers. It was Willard Richards who, after Joseph Smith was murdered, because it was published in 1842 in the Times and Seasons, put in Jesus. And, oh dear God. And so yes, 115, that Nelson got up at the pulpit of conference and said, it's the law, I have to do, this is the name. Jesus is angry with nicknames. The name of Joseph's church, Jesus is angry with. It's a forged Danite document. And so, this was the pattern. As Joseph Smith is in Liberty Jail, leaders of the church are being scared out. And so yes, Thomas B. Marsh wasn't the wife. That was a Danite lie. And both, I think it was Hinckley and Monson, both told the story of the lie, which was the Danites. With that 1838 war, Joseph Smith couldn't have excommunicated him because he was in Liberty Jail. And it was Brigham Young in the Joseph Smith papers who sent him the letter to show up on the 17th of March, 1839, for his disciplinary council. He didn't bother to go, and thus Brigham Young excommunicated him. Not authority, Brigham, naughty, naughty. And so Deuteronomy 19 kicks in for false accusers, like my brother. Anybody remember that one? Did you watch long enough into that video to find out? It's Friday. Friday. And so, yep. That's the prophecy for the birth of your Christ. 17th of March. And I've done the videos going over the other confirming evidence that was known to make it a fact. And yes, it's already happened, and yes, it has been fulfilled. It is fact. But Mormons believe in waiting for Jesus. Jesus is coming. The abominable Christ. And so, yeah, this is exactly what Mike Lee did. He's seeking to overthrow the United States government in the exact same manner pattern as the Danite terrorist insurrectionists of 1838 that cooed Joseph Smith's church until Joseph Smith got out of Liberty Jail. And then he gave a talk in the Joseph Smith papers in 1839 to the 12 with now Brigham Young as the president, and condemned them for getting rid of the good man. And then in 19 July 1840, Joseph knew that they were up to something, because Joseph now calls out Brigham Young as Judas and would betray Joseph and murder him. So who was it that was in Carthage jail? Who was in the room all alone with Joseph and Hiram, who died after Joseph Smith chased out the mob who didn't murder anybody? Oh, Willard again. Yeah, and Willard is also involved with the polygamy cover-up of forged documents, of sealing documents. Because they all say it's 1843. Yeah, no. You gotta destroy the evidence. You gotta destroy the financial trail. You gotta destroy the documents. You cannot have anything leading to you. Oops. Yeah, 1846 in January in the Nauvoo Temple. It was not dedicated yet. And Willard Richards not only blaming Joseph Smith, sealing those women to him then, as he was the recorder. It was Brigham and Heber who were doing it. And so my third great aunt, we all knew that it wasn't during Joseph's time. They were sealed to Joseph so that they can then go with Brigham to the valley so that they can be taken care of. Because women were slaves back then, and if they weren't married, then they needed a man to take care of them. And so John Solomon Fulmer was the one that was not a Danite in that whole group in Carthage jail. And so Joseph whispered into his ear, and thus his sister went with Brigham Young being sealed to Joseph Smith. And so because she was going, he had to go. And Brigham Young provided him an opportunity to go by being the financial clerk person. And because he has to go, he has to be compromised by Brigham. And so he took on a token plural wife and came to the valley. And so similar, Hiram Smith knew of the latter-day prophecy, and so his wife was the only Smith who, of the immediate Smith family, because there's George Albert Smith, who also went with Brigham, because he wasn't part of the original foundation of the church. And so his wife was the only one who went with Brigham Young, with Spencer or Heber C. Kimball. And it was because she needed to have Joseph Fielding Smith be the Holy Grail for the Latter-day Christ of Mormons, to be joined with, down the line somewhere, with a descendant of John Solomon Fulmer. That's why he went. That's why she went. Now you know the rest of the story. But, yeah, that's for the good people, the Church of the Lamb, not the Church of the Devil. Because that's what the news story was all about. And the news obviously doesn't know any of this. Because Lee's not going to tell them. The church isn't going to tell you the truth about it, even though they released the Joseph Smith papers so that you can learn the truth all about it. But, nope. And then you got critics who just think they know it all because they heard a document from a Danite and have no clue that they were a Danite, and therefore they shouldn't believe them, and it's all a lie. But, yeah, Joseph Smith is blamed for everything, whether you're a critic or a Mormon. And so the exact same pattern is being done with the United States, because that was their plot, and it's in the Book of Mormon. They tell us all about this. That's the warning of the Book of Mormon for the United States of America. These Danites were part of the threat that the Book of Mormon is warning about. They're the secret combination. They're the great and abominable church. It's right there in the Book of Mormon for you, and you miss it. Because you're thinking Jesus, just as they told you to think Jesus, to replace Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon in the learning of the Jews. And so yes, our government is couped, because our government is not adhering to the United States Constitution. And so yeah, I did the Captain Moroni videos. Nobody went. It's just me. Had to sue the church to try to save the United States, save your lives. And pharaohs said no, because they were Mormon. And helping aid and give comfort to the enemy. And so here we are, waiting for the day that shall burn as an oven, because of the wickedness of Mormons. So that took far longer than I wanted. So it appears that I'm not going to be able to do my own thing for these 2 days, as I told you in last night's video. I'm just apparently going to keep doing videos. So I guess my work is done, unless nothing happens on Friday. And so, yeah, I really don't want something to happen on Friday. I want to keep living my life, but I can't. As long as the church is alive, they will not let me go. They keep threatening me. They keep attacking me, getting other people to attack me. And I need to be free. And I can't be free until the church is utterly destroyed from the face of the earth. And so that's the promise of prophecy, is the day that shall burn as an oven will cause the fall of the great and abominable church. As nobody believes in the prophecies and the learning of the Jews. It's Christians and Islamists who've replaced the Jewish interpretation of the Bible. And that's why there's the Armageddon War in Israel, against Israel and against all Jews. Which, yes, the progressives, who are made up of mostly Islamists, are taking advantage of this war in Israel to attack America and overthrow with their version of a coup. And so you got the press supporting the coup, you've got protesters supporting a coup and getting violent and attacking the deep state Dems to force the Dems to be progressive or get out, and even by violence, to hurt Democrats. It's not just MAGA that wants to hurt the Democrats, as the guy got convicted for attacking Paul Pelosi. And so, yeah, the Civil War has begun. It's just hasn't escalated outside my door yet. But it's coming. That's the prophecy. And so, yeah, it's very scary times, especially when Nelson is telling you that everything is fine, all is well in Zion, keep paying your tithing. There's other ways to give us money. Pay those too. And you fall for it. Oh my God. So, yeah. The coup is on, and nobody wants to stop it. Because not a single person is talking about the news. There is the reporter on NBC that does the weekend stuff. And she was interviewing a Biden rep and asking her, was it a member of Congress? I think it was a member of Congress, asking him if he supports a 6-month abortion bill. And I just shake my head and want to cry, because not only was she siding with Hamas, but now she was going against the 14th Amendment. And so I did make a comment to that video saying that that's the wrong question to ask. You need to ask the congressman who has taken an oath to obey the Constitution of the United States of America if he supports or is against the 14th Amendment, Section 1. That is the proper reporter question to be asking all this time. But not a single one of them will do it. It's always about the rights of the woman, the horrors that are now happening to women because Roe v. Wade is overturned. No, right here, 14th Amendment, Section 1. The woman is born or naturalized. The fetus is not. The fetus, therefore, has no rights. The Supreme Court had an oath to support the Constitution on this, and they didn't. It's an act of terrorism, treason, insurrection. They all who voted for it need to be locked up. And our FBI and our DOJ are failing to do their oath to support the Constitution. This is the chaos and civil war we are in. Nobody wants to follow the Constitution. You got the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also a part of it. Religious freedom. Religious freedom. Disrespect for Marriage Act. Yay! Section 1. LGBTQIAPO+. You already had the rights. And yet, you got deceived into thinking you needed rights. It's right there. And thus, blacks, you got your freedom there. You were born and naturalized. You have rights. You are no longer slaves with the 14th Amendment, Section 1. But nope, nobody wanted to follow the Constitution, and so yeah, they had to put in. They don't say when this was put in, but I think 12 was for the banning of slavery, wasn't it, or was that alcohol? Let's do that real quick. I mean, obviously, I'm just letting go on videos now. Dates of each U.S. amendments in order. Because obviously the Bill of Rights were all together in 1787? 91. I liked it on the home search page because it was all listed. Okay, 11th. Deaths during war. 12th Amendment. Aaron Burr. This was for the Electoral College. So that's a voting thing. 13th Amendment. Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah, 13th is for blacks. 1865, right after the Civil War. And 68 for the 14th Amendment. And so to reaffirm black rights, the 14th Amendment, Section 1 is involved. And sure enough, they show a black man, or is he Asian? It's a cartoon, black and white drawing. The 15th, 1870, enfranchised black male voters in the South by passing the Reconstruction Act of 1867. So to protect this right under the Constitution. So again, for blacks. Dear God. These white supremacists really don't like blacks, do they? Yeah. Alright, so we're done with that. We got our answer. We're now doing another video. Just continuing on. It's just another topic video now. Yep. Okay, so yeah, there you have it. Senator Lee is supposed to be gone, and he's not. Now he's wreaking more havoc because of it. So, and yeah, he's been trying to push for porn too. Anti-porn. Women need to cover up, keep silent, obey their husband, or die. That's the church's way. If you don't know it, you don't know Mormonism.